Okay, welcome everybody today again to the Reggae University session. My name is Ellen. I'm one of the editors of Riddim Magazine. My colleague Pete is sitting over there in the audience, as is my other host, David Katz, because we have so many people today in the session on reggae in Europe. And this session will be a split session. We will start with reggae in Germany, because Germany was kind of a little instrumental in the development of reggae. And for that, you know, I'm really glad that we have Olaf Karnik, who is sitting next to me. He's a freelance journalist. He's writing for a lot of publications for a lot of years, among them also Riddim Magazine. And he also has released a 6-part series called Fantastic Voyage about the history of the music video. And he's also a DJ for 20 years. And he wrote the book Reggae in Germany, Reggae in Deutschland, together with the co-author Helmut Phillips, who's also a writer for Riddim Magazine. And we will hear his history on reggae in Germany first, before Rainer is going to take over. He's sitting next to me. He's responsible for the public relations and he's a promoter for the Rototom Sunsplash. He will explain the whole idea behind the European Reggae Contest, and we also have people from Europe, promoters of various festivals, and we also have artists, and we have Brooks, who is from Sony BMG, who will talk about a project of a reggae compilation. So I'm gonna start with Olaf now. I pass the microphone, and I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, thank you very much for attending. At the beginning, I want to read out what's been printed on the website with this program called Reggae in Germany, because it somehow sums up what this book, which was published last year in Germany, is all about. It says, in Germany, reggae and dancehall have achieved an unprecedented level of success during the last decade, when a significant scene has developed that is still growing. With artists like Gentleman, Seed and Patrice, sound systems like Pow Pow, Sentinel and Supersonics, and producers such as Rhythm and Sound, pioneer of Jamaican records, and Ingo Reinbay of Pow Pow Productions, reggae out of Germany has met international success and global admiration in the new millennium. There's also festivals like Summer Jam, online vinyl traders like Soundquake, and magazines like Riddim that are all indicative of a country where reggae culture has finally been fully established. And there's even enough room for outsiders, like Hans Söllner, who sings in Bavarian dialect, people like the Cologne-based Root Down label, or new conceptions that fuse reggae principles with dubstep innovations. And the history of all these expressions goes back way into the early 1980s, when a forgotten generation of German reggae enthusiasts started to form the first bands and build up the first reggae studios. So that's what the book deals with it. And the main thesis that we follow in this book is that in only 30 years, reggae in Germany has been transformed from a reception phenomenon into a culture of production, distribution, and reflection in only 30 years. And the question is, how did this happen? Yeah, and like today it's a common phrase to say that reggae is an international phenomenon. Like in 1981, a DJ from Jamaica called Ranking Toyan, he said that had a tune called Reggae Gone International. But actually that applied only to a few countries, especially the UK, maybe the US, and maybe certain states of Africa. And like, of course, in Germany, reggae was well known at that time, but it was it was nothing else but a reception phenomenon. Didn't have a production culture or anything. So we always have to keep in mind that the situation in Germany, comparable to the situation in Italy, in France too, in Sweden and other European countries, in Germany, is a bit similar. And there's a big contrast to the UK. For instance, I want to read out a bit about what reggae or reggae hybrids achieved in the UK in 50 years. In the 1950s, the first immigrants from the Caribbean entered the United Kingdom. Here they criticized the new living conditions with calypso songs such as Lord Kitchener's "London is the Place for Me." These observations caused an initially slow but growing interdependence among sound cultures. In fact, ska, rocksteady, reggae, and later dancehall and ragga furnished information for exiled Jamaicans and their British kids about Jamaica. These styles equally inspired independent productions in Great Britain and proved attractive to white kids from the working class and middle class too. Without ska and rocksteady, for instance, skinhead reggae would be unthinkable. No UB40 or Simply Red would exist without roots reggae. In turn, without the British orchestra, we would not witness any Trojan releases spiced up with violin arrangements or reggae cover versions of white pop music. Over the years, Jamaican music culture has inevitably evolved into hybrids. Furthermore, the adaptation to the existing audio social environment has been complex and multifaceted. Subgenres such as lovers rock and Lyndon Kwesi Johnson's dub poetry emerged. Adrian Sherwood and Dennis Bovell experimental productions came onto the scene. Finally, the 1990s witnessed the continuation of Jamaican dub traditions in British diggy-dub, regardless of the low standing that dub enjoyed in Jamaica at that time. All these developments derived from Great Britain's reggae context. Often, mingled production and reception conditions among whites and blacks accompanied these trends. At the latest, since the 1970s, reggae has provided key impulses for British pop music. First, punk bands such as The Clash or The Ruts released reggae songs. Second, reggae's influence is visible in the ska revival of the Specials, Selector and Madness. Third, reggae informed new wave acts such as Public Images Limited, The Slits and The Flying Lizards, Mark Stewart and The Mafia. After all, reggae inspired Adrian Sherwood's On You Sound, Massive Attack and Smith and Mighty's Bristol Sound, as well as entire genres such as ragamuffin, jungle, drum and bass, trip-hop and dubstep today. In fact, all these strands of British pop music have tremendously benefited from offbeat, bass sequences and the sound mixing pioneers. But in this context, however, the wide range of models for identity construction is more significant, because this spectrum offers a socialization with reggae in Great Britain. Regardless of the form, it causes subjectivations referring to societal roots. So, in the United Kingdom, reggae is anchored in elements that have shaped British cultures. This cultural embeddedness is the key difference to reggae's situation in Germany, or maybe other countries, at the beginning of the 80s. Here, reggae's popularity is hardly rooted in a former exile culture. Likewise, Germany cannot look back upon a notable record of reggae productions. It's difficult to name 5 serious German pop bands of the 1970s and 1980s incorporating reggae elements into their sound architectures. Consequently, reggae always lacked originality and sounded exotistic. Selected adaptations of the Nina Hagen Band, Bab and ska songs during the time of the Neue Deutsche Welle, which is the new German wave, indicated this second-hand nature. And in no other country did the Danish band laid-back stupid disco hit Sunshine Reggae probably yield worse consequences for the understanding of this music and culture. Because this song simply associates reggae with Bacardi feeling, summer parties, and drinking songs. So in the 80s, reggae has always been a reception phenomenon in Germany, and that very slowly that changed. Like, if you consider the situation at the beginning of the 80s, there was no reggae culture as we know it today. There was no internet and no special interest media supplying information about reggae culture. Only fanzines and very few well-informed reggae journalists that spread the message. And after Bob Marley's death, pop magazines, they lost interest in reporting about contemporary reggae and dancehall from Jamaica. The music just disappeared in the media. But there were a few reggae bands that started their own productions with artists. There were almost no sound systems, no relevant sound systems, but a few bands. To name a few, the Ganja Reggae Band in Krefeld, the Taugenixe from Cologne, the Herdman Band, the Vision, Nutty You from Dortmund, or the Dub Invaders near Munich. But all of these acts were a total underground phenomenon. And most of them today are long forgotten, but it was actually them that built the foundation for what was later to become a reggae culture in Germany. And to give you an example, I want to play you a song from the early 80s. It's by a Cologne-based band called the Taugenixe, and they somehow managed to get Matt Professor from London to produce their first album. And yeah, this sounds a bit strange because the vocals are totally untypical of reggae. It sounds like a Nico from Velvet Underground with applied reggae rhythms. Okay, listen to this. Yeah, this was just to give you an impression of what reggae in Germany, especially when sung in German, sounded at the beginning of the 80s. We're now going to the 90s, when a totally new generation of reggae and dancehall enthusiasts entered the scene. And this scene was separated from their forerunners of the early 80s, which were mainly bands that referred to either dub music or especially to like Bob Marley and the Wailers, Steel Pulse, UB40, whatever they knew. And they in a certain way, they mistook, this was one of the main understandings, that reggae is a band-orientated format, where it actually was a sound system format, which is today totally known everywhere, but wasn't at that time. So the new generation that started at the beginning of the 90s, they knew about the real reggae and dancehall culture. And it was mainly people that came, that recognized reggae in the context of hip-hop, ragga, and jungle. And these styles somehow founded a school of historical adaptation, which still exists today. So at the beginning of the 90s, styles, codes, sound systems, and DJ techniques, questions whether you perform in patois or in German, whether you wear dreadlocks or bald head, all of this had to be learned first, then tested, and finally configured culturally with painstaking difficulty. And in this context, the smooth cultural mimetic adaptation process, so-called one-to-one, proved to be the most successful and internationally most compatible. So like you had the main figure that everybody knows here is Gentleman, and he was starting in the early 90s, traveling the country, playing with sound systems, in Cologne with Pow Pow and in Hamburg with the Silly Walk sound system, and just jumping in front of every microphone he could grab to entertain the audience. And Gentleman was, from the beginning, it was clear for him to sing in patois. To sing in German was never a question. The same with the sound systems. The sound systems wanted to do it one-to-one, like the Jamaican sound systems, like Pow Pow traveled to Jamaica and learned from traditional sound systems in Jamaica what it's about to run sound system business, how to juggle, how to apply an MC to the music. It was all learned and then tested and then tried out. Yeah, another song, which is an early one by Gentleman together with Silly Walks. I think it's from 93 or 94. Not many of you might know it, so I play it. It's quite interesting.
Without a reason, at a mercy. This is Mr. Gentleman, alongside Don Abbey, at a mercy. Nice and decent ladies on here follow, make no hypnotize. Me look and tell them, oh God, tell me I look and tell them. I sing, people. Oh God, you know why? Now me say let the ego fall, because it is like a war between human communication. And if it try to practice, oh, yes we are making nothing, oh. Positive vibes, them have to grow. I sing, we living in a world full of wonders and signs. So now waste no time, be realistic, gold mine in our we heart and people's mind same time. The love that took is well done, we put down the crime. While you judge people, watch yourself same time. Cause life is one big road with lots of sign. That's why don't have never look behind. That's why ladies don't release the gold mine. That's why gentlemen will seek and refine. When me tell them I sing, so let the ego fall, because it is like a war between human communication. And if you try to practice, oh, yes we make nothing, oh, positive vibes. When we sing, yes you are me so.
Yeah, you can easily see that there's really a striving for the original style. That's what I call it in the book. This one route of adapting reggae, the original style. So let's concentrate on Gentleman, because like with this original style adaptation, there's questions of authenticity and identity come up. So Gentleman's real name is Tilman Otto, and he's the biggest star in the German-speaking reggae scene. And in a way, one can say that he has disagreed with labeling the necessarily hybrid nature of a reggae socialization in Germany authentic. Instead, the Cologne Sing-Jay has delved into an over-affirmation of Jamaican culture. During numerous longer trips to Jamaica, he has even acquired the patois dialect. On the one hand, he performs in patois his commendable anti-hatred messages, as well as his songs of praise for Jah, the Rasta God. These songs are packed into simple pop formulas like Jah in your life, everything is nice. On the other hand, there were reports that Gentleman also spoke patois with his German band members in the bus while touring. And obviously this is meant to be funny, but it has to be understood as a comprehensive process of a new identity formation. And this album title, Gentleman's famous album, Journey to Jah, already alludes to this process. Because while faithful Rastas have always possessed Jah, Gentleman is for the moment only on the path to him. So with respect to a comprehensive, authentic lifestyle, this self-conditioning has to cover daily life as well. And success seems to show Gentleman is right. Like Journey to Jah was the first album that entered the top 20 charts in 2002. Furthermore, Gentleman performed at numerous international festivals, and the Jamaican dancehall scene treated him with respect and recognition. There are a number of key elements for this success. The album, or his albums, feature guest appearances by stars like Bounty Killer, Luciano, Morgan Heritage, Junior Kelly, Jack Reddix. You all know about that. And he also applies top producers from Jamaica like Bobby Digital, Black Scorpio, Richie Stevens, and all of them. And furthermore, like especially an album like Journey to Jah is really a hit package at Mali level. So from a European perspective, Gentleman's efforts for authenticity may on the one hand appear dubious. On the other hand, it must be stressed that production conditions have fundamentally changed since Bob Marley's death. Nowadays, only few Jamaicans are really confessing Rastafarians. Upholding reggae's musical legacy is not so much a natural phenomenon in Jamaica, and almost half of the dancehall releases today consist of productions following in American hip-hop, R&B, or even European dance music. Parallel to that, the battle for survival has intensified in Jamaica's ghettos. Among the youth, violence is omnipresent and homicides cover the daily agenda. This development implies consequences for the symbolic debate on the societal conditions within the dancehall. Results include harsher hatred tirades against opponents and countless songs discriminating against homosexuals, for instance. Like Gentleman's love and peace messages have also to be viewed in light of these developments, because indeed his songs equally address the Jamaican public and position themselves within the value rivalry between opinion leaders such as Bounty Killer, Elephant Man, Capleton, or Beanie Man. And interestingly, Gentleman's voice is accepted even though he does not even come from Jamaica. So, the question here is, why is that? It's because his credibility rests on the perfect mastery of the symbolic codes inherent within the dancehall culture. Only on that condition, he is capable of focusing on the relevant issues. Contrary to the 1970s, when reggae gained world fame, cultural assimilation nowadays runs into reverse directions. It moves from the first world to the third world. Earlier, Bob Marley's fame witnessed a refinement of his sound via production techniques tailored for the rock market. Yet today, Gentleman has to sound as original as possible. This means that skin color, origin, and social milieu are no longer relevant for authenticity. Instead, devotion to the cause has evolved as the essential ingredient. And this authenticity type is no longer rooted in traditional elements once marking identity. Now it rests on mimetic qualities, that is, the desire to completely merge with and the talent to adopt a cause. So, like with Gentleman, what I read out about Gentleman, as I said before, applies to the generation of the 90s, not only the artists, but also sound systems, producers, labels, and so forth. And like in the middle of the 90s, a few elements of a reggae culture were already established. Like you had sound systems playing weekly nights. You had producers like the one we had before by Silly Walks was Gentleman, releasing records. And at the end of the 90s, it began to become more and more established, so that even, although there were exceptions before, that in this scene that was also brought up by hip-hop or jungle, started to sing in German. Like the first guy that really got famous in Germany with German hip-hop, with German reggae, comes from a hip-hop context and is called Jan Delay. He's a dubious. He's considered as a dubious character today because he kind of only used reggae music as a strategy, because today he makes funk music. But the way he uses the German language, not only German words, but also the German language, is interesting, because he kind of applies the reggae codes to the German language, and that hasn't been done before. Let's say that, like, to give an example, his sing-song is marked by mumbling and moaning. Words are connected French style, vocals are stretched, consonants swallowed, syllables stressed differently, and whole sentences squeezed or extended due to reggae conventions. All this occurs with an ease and naturalness one hardly suspects when dealing with the German language. Here, language is designed to sound different. The meaning or attitude of the text manifests itself in an aesthetic, sensual manner, and other things can thus be heard. There were only a few examples in the 90s, in the 70s, when rock musicians like Rio Reiser and very occasionally Udo Lindenberg managed to create such an experience. And like, so in a way, like Jan Delay was a forerunner to this kind of vocal style that is today applied by other German artists that sing in German, for instance, Noslev, or even Mono and Nikita Man. So I play you like these three examples, not to make it too special. First Jan Delay, then Noslev, and after that Mono and Nikita Man. So the first one is by Jan Delay. It was released around 1999 or 2000, I guess.
Und dem Talkshow so, die mit dem Kaufhaus Punk und hannoverischem Rock'n'Roll. Ihr wählt doch sonst auch immer das Falsche, wenn ihr die Wahl habt. Ihr steht doch sonst auch immer auf sauber, ordentlich und allglatt. Und darum möchte ich nicht, dass ihr meine Lieder singt.
So we switch back or switch forward to 2008 and a new record by Mono and Nikita Man released on Root Down Records near Cologne together with Noslev. So this gives you an impression of what their vocal style is about. And you can also witness much better production technique to the one of Jan Delay we heard before.
Gib mir 5 Minuten Pause, Mann, ich hab grad gute Laune, yo.
Ich wollte, dass du es weißt, du laberst zu viel Scheiß.
Den ganzen Tag noch blablabla aus jeder Ecke, sorry, ich hab kein Interesse, halt doch einfach mal die Fresse, yo.
Lieber Laber, aber nichts zu sagen, nur heiße Luft, du redest dich im Kopf und Kragen. Populistische Parolen, Hasstiraden, vermischt mit ein paar Lügen und mit leeren Phrasen. Und das ist Niveau und akustische Verschmutzung. Ich fühl mir das nicht an und hab ich keine Lust zurück an meinen Stammtisch, was hast du hier verloren? Verpiss dich aus meinem Leben, du beleidigst meine Ohren.
Sorry, es tut mir leid.
die Schnauze, gib mir 5 Minuten Pause, Mann, ich hab grad gute Laune, yo.
Ich wollte, dass du es weißt, du laberst zu viel Scheiß.
Den ganzen Tag nur blablabla aus jeder Ecke, sorry, ich hab kein Interesse, halt doch einfach mal die Fresse, yo.
Ich versuch dich zu verstehen, aber wirklich, glaubst du selber, dein Gerede interessiert mich? Du weißt doch gar nicht, was du willst, komm auf den Punkt, meine Ohren sind schon wund, zu viel Schund ist nicht gesund, nein. Ich geb dir jetzt einen Tipp und der ist gratis, halt doch einfach mal den Maul auf.
So like one could say that during the last years there's about 2 main roads in German reggae that are followed. The biggest road is, so to speak, the gentleman road, which really helped to spread reggae culture in Germany more than anything else, because it's the sound systems, the producers, also a magazine like Riddim is part of this in a way. So this is like establishing the real reggae culture that is international, an international language in Germany. And the second road is what we heard before. It's like the German vocals, the German singing, which in their lyrics addresses different topics, because like what they sing about is not so much about jar or typical dancehall lyrics, but they address topics that are part of or problems of everyday life, like it's done in usual pop songs, for instance. And we have a third road, if you want, that's like that could only take place after reggae culture has already been established. You have, all of you might know artists like Patrice, you might know Seed, and they all started in the middle and end of 90s when the basis of the reggae culture was already established. And for them, in a certain way, reggae serves as primary musical language, either as a style for entertainment, as with Seed, big show entertainment and heavy monster sound, either that, or for songwriter individualism, as you have it with Patrice. And you have, for instance, also people like Rhythm and Sound from Berlin, which is a producers team, which are not so well known in the reggae scene, but they are really working very very close to the basic principles of reggae music and electronic music. So with Rhythm and Sound, it's 2 producers, Mark Ernestos and Moritz von Oswald, and they somehow offer the most sophisticated production skills in the business. Like there are 10 and 12-inch records. For them, they use like guest singers such as Paul Saint-Hilaire, Colonel Campbell, the Chosen Brothers, also known as Lloyd Bulwaki Barnes, Claudette Barnes from the Lovejoys, and other Caribbean musicians as well. But they do not exert much influence in Germany's reggae scene, because hardcore reggae fans criticize the lack of authenticity in Rhythm and Sound's musical language. Techno and electronic music, as well as bass opening dub techniques and bass sequences, clearly shape the sound. Up and down dynamics typical for reggae and dancehall may indeed be missing. However, since the beginning in the mid-90s, Rhythm and Sound have created nothing less than an entire new groove formula. And this groove formula synthesizes techno's and reggae's essential and repetitive structures. As Ernestos and von Oswald, the 2 producers, have employed dub-typical sound deconstructions for reconfigurations, the material as well, vocals, are now located over the track. Yeah, in order not to go too deeply into a description of their music, I play you one of their tunes from 2003, and then let's talk about the rest later.
I'm the king. I sit in my empire, so you can't push I over. I'm like a burning fire. Leave me, you old vampire. You're trying to get I scared of you, yeah. But I'm not afraid. I'm really not afraid. You come with your evil lust plan to overthrow I man. You got to change your program, cause Jaja got the whole wide world. He's got the whole world in his hand. Leave me alone, wicked man. Why you trying to bite off more than you can chew? How long will you go on?
Yeah, there was rhythm sound. This was just to give you a very short overview what's been going on in the last 10, 20, 30 years. And I would like now to open for discussion, for any questions, so we can go further into details if you want.
So please come forward for questions. Don't be too shy. Oh, David, you got a question. Wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, you've spoken very eloquently about a number of different issues that have
A round of applause.
that have come into the creation of streams of reggae in Germany, reggae and dancehall. And I just wondered, you had mentioned in particular these notions of authenticity and identity. And for example, when you were speaking about Gentleman, how he's had to kind of strive to assimilate himself into a kind of a, not only musically, but also culturally with a Rasta lifestyle and so on. And it just called to mind one time, strangely enough, when Ellen and Pete had been visiting in London, and we were driving somewhere and had the radio on, and we could hear someone being interviewed on a reggae program on BBC London. And we were all trying to work out who is this artist? And because the patois was so thick, and eventually it emerged that it was Gentleman. But this for me was somewhat troubling. I mean, you described before when he's with his band members on the bus, he speaks patois. But then here he was having an interview on the radio, and he's speaking only in patois. And I really kind of didn't know what to make of this. So I wondered what thoughts you yourself, what light can you shed on this phenomenon?
Yeah, I mean, I asked him this question. In this book, Reggae in Germany, there's an interview, a long interview with Gentleman. And this question was part of the interview. And he said, yeah, for him it's kind of, it's all done out of love in a way, you know, and his mind was never entered by the idea that he could sing in German, because when he was in Jamaica at the beginning of the 90s and came back and listened to the tapes from IRI FM, it was only Jamaican music that he was listening to, and he must have totally fallen in love with Patla lyrics, and that somehow he managed to speak it so well that for him it's usual. Of course, culturally speaking, it's a bit dubious, it's a bit strange, and yeah, I know, but it's pretty hard to judge on that, because I mean, like, he reaches, that's what I said before, he reaches Jamaican audience, or he reaches Jamaican immigrant audiences all over the world when he does speak patois. If he spoke German or sung in German like Nosliv and all the others, that would really be restricted to a market, to the German-speaking market in Europe. And yeah, so yeah,
I would like to add a little thing. What a gentleman told Pete and me once was he dropped out of school pretty early. He never really had English at school for such a long time. The way he learned the language, he didn't learn the English, but he learned the Jamaican. You know, so he went to Jamaica very early, like was 15 or something. And so in an interview, when he gives interviews, when he speaks to English journalists, he answers in the Jamaican patois, or whatever you might call it. I always prefer Jamaican. So he always said, I learned the Jamaican, not the English. But with the thing on the bus, I cannot explain that, of course, talking with the other band members, because they're all kind of German. Maybe it's kind of a coolness thing also by now.
Hi. As gentleman is considered as a leader in reggae society in Germany, don't you think it's a little bit better when he sings in German so that a normal German citizen can understand what gentleman is saying and he can portray it further? He can portray it further. If he sings the lyrics, he sings in patois to translate them in German. Like we have long time ago, people like Julio Iglesias, they used to sing in different kind of languages and they get success from every kind of society. A lot of people listen to gentleman in Germany, but they don't understand the lyrics. So don't you think it's better if he can sing like 1 or 2 tracks in Germany, maybe, to reach the audience instead of the people listening to the beats, and they get the lyrics too?
I mean, I think gentlemen wouldn't ever sing in German. I don't think so. But there's one thing you have to keep in mind. Like the generation I spoke about first in the early 80s. And that was also when I did an interview with Uli Güldner, one of the contributors to Riddim Magazine in the book too. And he said that, yeah, in the 80s, nobody understood patois. It was just like, what is that? And like, you could follow Lyndon Kwesi Johnson's lyrics because they were not as fast as the Jamaican ones. And I remember when I went to school, I loved the language as well. And we were just miming like, well, pretty boss, walla, these words, I don't know. And it was fun. But I mean, with gentlemen, or the generation of gentlemen, in a way they helped to spread not only the sound of patois, but also the meanings. Because I think people that... Can anybody understand? Okay. No, I mean, like, I think the percentage of people in Germany or German-speaking countries that understand patois has risen compared to the situation to the 80s, thanks to the generation of gentlemen. And thanks to writers and, for instance, Riddim Magazine, because they had a patois lexicon in their magazine and stuff like that. So, of course, but for the mainstream audience, who still are the biggest buyers of gentleman records, what they do with his lyrics, I don't know. One would have to ask them. I don't know.
It's not a question. I just would like to add to that, that Germany, just like probably every other European country, has been importing Anglo-American music from Elvis Presley, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and I know my parents didn't know what they were talking about. And if you really like it, then you dig deep and you study, and you find out what you want to know. And it's the same with reggae lyrics, be they from gentlemen or any Jamaican artist.
Do we have more questions, please? Don't be shy. Oh, thanks a lot, David.
Yeah, I have another quick, it's almost more of a historical question, because, I mean, you began by talking about immigration to the UK, Jamaican immigration, and the Caribbean presence in Britain. But there's also been a German presence in Jamaica, historically, and I wondered if there was any kind of a long-term link of people of Jamaicans of German origin coming back to Germany somehow, or being involved in music that way that you know of. Do you know of anything like that, or was the link too far back?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, but too far back. Would have been interesting for the book to find out about that, but yeah, we couldn't find anything about that.
Oh, thank you, John, for coming.
I'm from London, so I have to give a shout out to my countryman, David Rodigan, because I know he was doing a program. I know David Rodigan was doing a program, British forces posted overseas, and I just wondered if that was an influence on the music scene in Germany.
As Alan said, probably the biggest. It's also in the book, it's said in the book that, yeah, I mean, not only German, but European audience, but especially, of course, maybe German audiences because of Rodigan's Rockers. That was the name of his show, running on BFBS for like 10 or 15 years. There was a big influence, also for the sound guys. They listened to his shows, and yeah, they learned from him as well as from Jamaican sound systems. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, coming to Rodigan again, I think, you know, especially like the editors of Riddim Magazine, I think everybody of us got into the music because of Rodigan's show, you know. He had this show, I think it was 1 hour after John Peel, and everybody listened to John Peel at that time, and then Rodigan, and he really introduced the music. And he was the one, you know, who played out like in this army-based places for the first time, and the people really traveled. They traveled from Cologne to Bielefeld just for hours to see him in the club selecting. And he really gave us a lot of knowledge and background of the history. Yeah, that is definitely, you know, I want to add that again, and a big respect to Rodigan, of course. Do we have some more questions, please? Okay, thanks a lot.
We have two categories of the reggae in Germany, the conscious side, the gentleman side, the patois side, and the pop side, the Jan Delay side. But which category is Hans Zollner in this?
Yeah, good from you to mention Hans Zollner. I wanted to mention, he started earlier. Hans Zollner is a kind of guy, a mixture between Bob Dylan in the 60s and Bob Marley. Okay, before I talk about Hans Zollner, right, I play a song by Hans Zollner because he mixes like reggae music and Bavarian folk, and he also sings in Bavarian dialect. So this is from a live recording, and it's actually called Sturm, so that's the same we have outside.
So be you was you as my feeling was exploding was miss much for me. Politica che lo sguappiglio mi spero non dai conspessi non sfida meglio qua fiera veda voglia che ruolo viene auf die Mächtigen ob schwarz-weiß oder rot heiß hands groß und mächtig Mann Hier nicht auf, starre, so wie immer was jetzt noch mit dir und sagst du mir was du jetzt noch, starre, hier nicht auf, hey!
Yeah, okay, this was just an impression of Hans Zöllner. And like, Hans Zöllner is this kind of, he has this kind of rebel music attitude. And he's for like, I wrote that in the book, I wrote about him, like for a real reggae audience, or for people that are pop culturally informed, in a way he's hard to stand. And lots of people don't take him serious. And even me, I agree. When I listened to his music first and then did the interview, I thought, oh no, come on, what is this? Why do I have to get in touch with Hans Zöllner? But then I learned that he has a strong following, and he follows certain issues, political issues, and I think it's okay. I mean, it's not cool to like Hans Zöllner, of course, and there's lots of things you can criticize, because with his lyrics, it's very simplified. It's his political situation is very simplified, but still, I think he must be respected.
Do we have more questions from the audience? Okay, then I would like to give a big round of applause to Olaf's session. It was really wonderful on the history of German reggae, and everybody, you know, who can read German, of course. This book is only in German yet. Maybe there will be an English translation following, which I would hope for. But it's really an interesting read, and it gives you, of course, covers way more Olaf could talk about right now. But thanks a lot again, and a big round of applause. Thanks, Olaf. Now I pass the mic on to Rainer, who will explain the whole idea of the European Reggae Contest.
Hello, thank you for your interest. At first, maybe you wonder why we put together these two themes, Reggae in Germany and European Reggae Contest, but it's like a couple of 4 years ago, we started, we had always an Italian newcomer contest to give bands a chance to play at Rototom Sunsplash. As you can imagine, a booking office is every year bombed with CDs, promo materials, and it's very hard to listen to all. And even if you listen to a record or to an MP3 file, gives you no impression who are the persons behind. Is this a real band or it's only a studio project? So 4 years ago we started to export, it's a big word, but we started a reggae contest in Germany. Because every year more and more people are visiting Rototom Sunsplash and makes it more and more internationally. And the biggest visitors group outside of Italy are members of Germany, Switzerland and Austria. So 4 years ago our first attempt in Germany was very simple. We published the participating bands and the people could send us emails. The resonance was right, so we continue with this idea. And we exported also to Austria and to Switzerland, the German-speaking countries. And in these countries it was my job to look for the promotion for Rototom Sunsplash. 2 years ago, more and more people comes also from other states, covered nearly whole Europe. And so we decided, because we thought also about possibilities of online votings, and our webmaster and some technicians create a model which allows us to present you not only bands with 2 MP3 files, with a photo, with a short band biography, but even in listening to the files and to vote. And we practice these votings like a political vote. Every visitor, every website visitor from Rototom Sunsplash side, but even from our partner side, from the festivals or media promotion partner side, could vote. but he can vote only one time with a couple of votes, but he can vote in every participating country. So we had, in 2007, we had a great success. We had more than 108 bands. Guilty bands means the bands must upload to self-composed and to self-written songs, and it's also forbidden to use existing tracks. We had a lot of discussions about also today, because as we all know, a lot of rhythms are used by several artists. But we insist on this condition because we want hear and see that a real existing working band is able to compose a complete song. It's easy to voice existing rhythms, and we want that they have the capacity to write own material. In the last year, it was not easy to start with this contest on a European base, because as you can imagine, even if we are a reggae community, it's a hard market. Means all festivals are in first side concurrence. We have in Germany a couple of festivals, also in other countries. So it was very strange that a festival promoter phoned the others and asked, would you like to cooperate with us from festival to festival? The idea behind is that Rototom Sunsplash runs like a big networking project. We are searching and we are looking for partners for different types, and so we try to form a group of festival partners which participate on the idea to give new, fresh, upcoming bands a chance, not only to perform in their own country, but also in other countries. In the last years, we started with this festival community. We call it community. It was also last year's festival logo, because community stands for communication. This com stands also for the websites and internet, and unity is what we are wishing that we have in this project, community. And in this year, in 2008, we continued with this project. We find new partners. And so meanwhile, we have among 20 festival partners in 9 European countries, which are indeed more because, for example, Netherlands and Belgium, we unite in Benelux, and Scandinavian countries, we unite also in one group. The reason is we have still not in every of these countries festival partners, but we have promoters there, and we have media there who presents us and supports us. So this year was a big success for the European contest. We had more than double of participating bands, 248 bands from out of 17 countries. This was overwhelming for us. We didn't thought that so many bands have interest on playing. We think also that for a band this is a dream, because we have national countries, and we select in every country a national winner. For this national winner is guaranteed to perform on the main stage of his home country, and we have the 8 participants of these countries. The 9th band could not visit us, so we show you, we present you 8 bands. 4 bands played yesterday, and 4 bands will play today. And the winner out of these 8 bands will have the chance to perform on all 9 festival main stages. And also in Italy in a couple of well-known clubs. So in fact, the winner could play live in nearly 9 European countries and have around 20 shows. we think this is a big choice, this is a big chance for every band to break through. As we know also from the last year's bands, they have now better conditions if they ask for concerts, and they are better booked. So this contest have a real big media interest meanwhile, and we had more than 75,000 votings in whole Europe. If you divide it, 3 votes for each person, so you can calculate around 20, 25 or 30,000 people had participated on this contest. This is a big chance, I think, for the bands and also for us as a festival community. Sure, we want also together with our festival partners in other fields in future on common projects. So both sides, festival organizers and bands, have a big chance to work together. This contest costs a lot of time. We prepare it. Every contest have a preparation time of around 6 months. And sure, I'm not the only one who work in it. I'm only presenting our team. We have promoters in every country. We have medias which supports us. And sure, we need also webmasters. We need technicians to control the void, to delete cheatings, to write like in sport messages. Please do not vote 100 times. Don't give your little brother money to press a button 50 times to vote your band. So you can imagine it's a lot of work. And but we are very happy that it runs, and so it's an honor for me to present you some of the bands and some of our festival partners. I start on the left side, right from you. This is Rainer Reutner from presenting House of Riddim Festival in Austria. He's also working at Tornsel Agency. This is a big promotion agency in Austria, and also distribution for Treasure Islands. Next to him, Manuel Bossart from Switzerland. Reed's Open Air is back in this year after also some troubles with authorities, so we are happy about. Then Laura from Denmark, Laura Lindegaard. She's presenting Scandinavia. She did a very good promotion in Sweden, all these countries, and in Denmark for sure. She's presenting Ragapak Festival. Next to me, Sheriff Bernd Langemann. He's from Germany's most popular festival, Reggae Jam. It's a festival in the near of the Dutch border. And in Riddim poll, it's on number 2 in Germany. Rototom is number 3. So now I have to change. Aurore from France is here, but she escaped. She's sitting on the front row a couple of minutes ago. She's from Reggae Ska in France. And then we have some, before we come to the musicians, we start with the record company. As you can see, it's the right moment to speak about music and musicians. So a big welcome. So big up. Stop the rain, dance. Think we would be all very happy if it runs. Stop the rain. So, so I introduce you with nice background music. Behind me, Pura Vida. Pura Vida is the winner of Benelux. Brecht, say hello. As you can see, you are welcome. Next to him we have Blessai from Elijah and the Dubby Conquerors. They are the winners from Switzerland. And next to him we have Daniel Rickler, the young guitar player. He's guitar teacher since 3 years, as I have seen the info. They are the German winners of Beat Ambassador. Welcome. We are forced to join a group we call the Rest of Europe because we have a lot of interest, a lot of participants from countries, from different European countries. And the winner of this group is Another Day performed yesterday on the main stage. And this is Peter from Another Day. I would like to present you also the other bands and some members, but maybe they are lost in the rain, or maybe Romano, the stage manager, or Bruno, who is responsible for the technical aspects of European Reggae Contest, closed them in a container, I don't know. And last not least, if you speak about musicians and bands, I present you Brook Demissie. He is from catalog division of Sony Music, Sony BMG Music Germany. And we are very proud that he gives us the chance, the winning band, a chance to be present on a Sony BMG double CD compilation with one track. But for this compilation, Brook will say you now some words. Welcome, Brook.
Hello, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Rainer for inviting me and for this cooperation. I think he did a great job to give the young bands, the newcomer, this chance to perform on big stages like here at Rototom and to show their music to new audience. And I'm very proud to be a part of this project. We are currently working on a reggae compilation called People's Choice. And Rainer asked me if it's able to bring the winner of the European Reggae Contest 2008 on this compilation. And first, I was not sure if it would be good to do it because it's not easy to. Sony BMG is a big label, and I have to present this to the colleagues and say, let's do this. Let's give some young artists the chance. But after I have seen what these bands can play and what the music is, I have to say I'm very happy that we did it, and I'm very happy to be here to present you our product. Maybe you can help me to show. It's, as I told you, a reggae compilation called People's Choice. It's a double CD, mid-price section, and it's going to be released all over Germany, Austria, and Switzerland for the first time. And if it goes well, I can imagine that we're going to release it in different countries too. My point was, as I was planning the track listing, that we don't only do or put stars like Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, and Peter Tosh on the compilation, because most of the time you find several this kind of artists on compilations of the big labels. But this we wanted to show that reggae is more than only Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, and therefore we we had newcomers, we had a lot of female artists, we have a lot of legends on this compilation, and I would like to show you, to read you some of the artists or the songs which are going to be on this compilation. We start with Ray Darwin, People's Choice, we have Collie Butts, we have Sizzla, Bushman, Natural Black, Poopa Arms, Neka, Jordan Alani, Natasha from Sweden, Lucky D, Chessie Deck, Charles Riley, Elaine, Dwan Stephenson, Gentleman, Morgan Heritage, and we have Bob Marley and the Wailers, of course, Wailing Souls, Jimmy Cliff, Peter Tosh, John Holt, Gregory Isaacs, Francis and Franklin, Luciano, Buju Banton, Barris Hammond, Michael Rose, Chezidek and Chapajan, King Kong, Marlin Johnson, and the winner of this European Reggae Contest. This CD is going to be released at the beginning of August, and I have to say that the problem was first that the winner gonna be announced today. And normally we have to start pressing the CDs last week. So my problem was, so how can we do this? And it was a big problem to postpone this date. We can't postpone the release, but I asked if it's able to start late with this production, and everything is reserved. The mastering studio is waiting for the song. The the designer is working for the last details of the name of the winners. And after the decision, I have to write an SMS, and they're going to press the button to start the production. And I'm happy that this way I want to thank Rainer again and Sabrina for Rototom, and thanks to all the bands for the fantastic music, and thank you for the cooperation.
Yeah, thousand thanks to you, Brook, for doing all these difficulties inside your company, because we all know a major company is working on strict time schedule, so it was really a great job he did. And it was also very nice entrusting us and entrusting to the quality of the bands. And I think this speaks for all of you. Big up for you and respect. Thanks a lot. If you have any requests, demands, questions, please feel free to ask. No questions. Ellen, you something?
Okay, since nobody is coming to the front, maybe, you know, the various people from the various countries could tell us a little bit about their reggae scenes, about, you know, where's the state of art of reggae music in their countries, kind of where it come from, you know, how it developed. That I think would be interesting. Maybe that is a start. So I pass the microphone.
All right, thank you. So we are talking about Austria now, and Austria is a very small country with 8 million inhabitants. Our big brother, or is called sister Germany, 10 times bigger than us, and they're sitting above us. And we don't have a black community. This changed for the last 10 years. And the reggae scene in Austria, which was built up about 20 years ago by some veterans in the DJ business, early bands, and some people who try to organize festivals like the Reggae Sunsplash, established in '88, which was all time a very huge success. Over 10,000 people came. Brethren Mikey Kodak started about 20 years ago with a thing called Rebel Radio, organized dances. A few bands were rehearsed in the cellars, but didn't have the chance in a scene in the club culture which is dominated by white men of the middle class in the cultural business in Austria. So a lot of things changed, like Olaf told us in the middle of the 90s, where people started to listen to sound system more, traveled to Jamaica. And we started with a compilation thing called Dancehall Fever, which is a German-Austrian language dialect, which people from Switzerland, Austria and Germany got the chance to drop their tunes. And for example, it was the start for careers like Mono and Nikita Mann, which learned each other together for this compilation. And we tried to set up a very young scene, a club culture, which we didn't have the chance yet to go to the big discotheques. So reggae in Austria is still a subculture thing. The big radios, they just play Shauna Paul, but they wouldn't play Elaine, if you understand. So we don't say that we are struggling, but we are just keep working. And yeah, now we are here, and we've got a great Austrian band here represent called Rebel Muffin. The musicians are from Upper Austria, Linz, and two singers are from Nigeria, Lagos. So you see, things are changing, hopefully good. And we say respect for organizing, inviting us, and give us the chance to work for the next year. Yeah, respect. Thank you.
So we're talking about Switzerland right now. What I can say to the Swiss reggae scene, it's very similar to the Austrian scene and also to the German one. But the big difference is the language difference between the German. A bit louder. Okay. The language difference between the German language and the French part, and of course also the Italian part of Switzerland. We have a break through Switzerland, which Geneva is the center of the French part, and Zurich is the center of the German part, also in the reggae scene. In the French part, we have many influence from France, and in the German part, many influence from Germany. So also we can see the concerts in Zurich. We have a lot of German bands there, but we don't have these bands in Geneva, for example, and the other way. And then another special thing for Switzerland is the Swiss-German reggae. Like bands like Elijah, the winner of the Swiss contest, will do it tonight. Or also Dodo or Fusion Square Garden are very special bands, and that's a special thing. But what we can say that the scene is quite strong and quite good, and we have a lot of promoters and people that work really professional in Switzerland, like Pasco from reggae.ch. So we do it really well. Thanks.
I'm sorry for the people, but we have to play in a half an hour, so I want to meditate a little and do it good, you know. But I just want to say a couple of words about Belgium. It's a little underground scene thing, and it's what for me is a little problem in Belgium is the producing. We have a lot of bands coming like Winda, Prong and Boyo. It's alive, you know, but the studios, they work commercial, and reggae is a sound, you know, it's sound. If you hear reggae, you hear the bass, you hear the chopping, and in all of the studios, you have to pay a lot of money, and they don't know how reggae sounds, you know. So for me, it was my quest to build my own little humble studio, because reggae is humbleness, you know. We have to live in love for each other. In these times of war and tribulation, it's time for a good change, you know, with love in our hearts for each other and for every culture. So for me, reggae, I work in my little studio, and the band came from there. And we do a lot of influences from, like I play sitar, and from India, from classical music, jazz music, and the true foundation of blues are like reggae is blues, you know. And for me, also important is the good vibration and how do I say it in English? It gives us courage to go on, you know, because all of us, we have to suffer in this time, and reggae is a positive vibes and it keeps us going on and on and on. So now I go on stage with Pura Vida, and this was my little word to you. So love to you, everyone. Give thanks, give thanks.
Okay, I represent Scandinavia in the contest and represent Silkeborg Reggae Festival, which is this one. It's a very small upcoming festival in the woods and far away, someplace in Denmark. We're really happy to be part of this European Reggae Contest. It's a great chance for us also to promote some upcoming bands, both from Scandinavia and the rest of Europe. The scene in Denmark and in Scandinavia in general is quite small. It's very much underground, especially in Denmark and Norway. But it's growing. I mean, since the beginning of the the beginning of the 2000s, it has been growing steadily, and that's what we're building on. But definitely still a very small community and hard work to make people understand this music, and that they have to join. You know, they have to come to these concerts and see how great this music is, and come to our festivals. And but it's still a nice scene, and yeah, we're just working on it. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Sheriff from Reggae Jam Festival. I'm presenting Germany. I think Olaf told a lot of things about the reggae scene in Germany, so I make it short. Yeah, Reggae Jam is one of a lot of reggae festivals in Germany. I don't know, Summer Jam, everybody knows Summer Jam. Summer Jam is one of the biggest festivals in Germany. Reggae Jam is a small festival, but I think now it's a well-known festival. We all years bring artists you don't see at other festivals. Like years ago, or 2 years ago, I bring Stitchy. I start to bring Burro Banton. This year I bring Brigadier Jerry, Josie Wales, and a couple of veteran artists. And so I think the Reggae Jam Festival is a small festival, but it's a very nice festival for Germany, and it's not too expensive. We charge a little money for 3 days. It's non-commercial festival. Yeah, I think it's interesting, and who is interested to know more about this festival, we have a homepage, reggaejam.de. There you can find all the information about the Reggae Jam Festival in Germany.
Yes, University, massive greetings. Like Rainer already said, Blazai from Zurich to Richtown, Switzerland, from Elijah and Dobby Conquerors. I'd like to have a quick second word to the scene in Switzerland. Like Manu already said, our country is parted in different language regions. We have these two main centers, Geneva, Zurich. And if I look back at the history, I guess it started mainly in the 80s, where sound system like Roots Operator and Positive Airline System started in these two cities. Then we had the Gang Lords in the 90s, who were over in Jamaica, voiced with artists like Max Romeo, Gregory Isaacs, made the main anthem for the Sunsplash with Frankie Paul. Then the Scrucialists followed, backing bands like Lady Saw and big Jamaican names. And I think, like, if I look at the scene right now, you can't really see it's underground or it's commercially established. It's rather a thing in between. In every village, in every corner, you have a young sound system coming out of the ground, playing their tunes, young people grabbing the mic, trying to bring over these vibes. And what I really appreciate right now in Switzerland is that many people take up this positive, deep, heavy Jamaican vibes, but try to combine it with their own language, with their own dialect, which can vary from 20 kilometers farther. He already speaks a different dialect than I do. And people get this conscious and try to mix their own culture with these real heavy Jamaican vibes. And I hope the thing goes on like this. And if you pop in Switzerland once, just come and visit the scene. Give thanks.
Don't wonder why the jury members left the panel. It's not because they have to fear the rain. It's only because these poor guys have now listening to the first playing band. I don't think that it's possible to go in front of the stage, which they should do, because they have to note also the performance of the band. So for this, the members left the panel.
Hello, I'm Daniel from Offbeat Ambassador, the German Reggae, the band who's performing for Germany. The most is sad about the German reggae scene, but we are coming from Bavaria. Bavaria has a different reggae scene. It's because there is a very conservative and scene in the politic thing. So we are not really supported by the Bavarian country, but are tolerated from the police.
Louder. You have to speak louder, I think. It's hard to understand. Yeah. Or should... yeah. Speak only a little bit louder.
So we have to say that the German reggae scene is a bit divided. I'm feeling it so because the bands in Munich, there's a big scene of reggae bands in Munich with different styles from roots reggae to dancehall and everything else. But we don't have much contact to bands in Berlin or other towns of Germany. So it would be very, very great to get in contact with bands from the other sides of Germany. But that is a point we cannot say that it's good enough today in Germany. It's a very divided scene. So. Of course, we want to thank the whole Rototom crew to give us the chance to perform in Italy on this amazing festival, which isn't comparable to any festival in the rest of Germany. So give thanks.
Hello everyone, I'm Peter from Another Day, and the band is from Hungary. The reggae scene in Hungary is like a little child. You know, as Max Romo says, kids are people too. So this little child is growing day by day, step by step. It's a slow movement, but it's working. It's working. There is a little community, people who loves reggae, loves these good vibes, plays these sounds, listen to these sounds, and these people try to spread the message, and many people get involved by reggae, and there are some clubs who has reggae programs. There are 3 festivals which are growing too, and there are some upcoming new guys with new style of music based on reggae and African rhythms, and these guys are just great. You know, there are 10 big, whatever it means, big bands in Hungary, and there are some new, and they're doing great music and they have good vibes. So the scene is growing, but it's really hard. It's a hard road, and we are marching on it. Thank you very much.
Hi to everyone. I'm Esther Luz. I represent Italy with my band Dot Vibes. I hope you can hear me. And we played yesterday on the main stage. Well, I don't have so much to say about the scene in Italy because I think that we are already in this festival that is a piece of history in reggae, Rototom. A place where you can come and see all the artists you like and everything. But it's like in Italy, I'm talking as a band, singer in a band of really young people. So the example that we got is coming from bands that we're already playing here in Italy for a long time, like Africa Unite, like people that they just got the rhythm and the reggae stuff from a long time ago. But then we have always liked, we as a band, we have always liked also reggae coming from other countries, like we were talking about Germany and all that stuff. We have big names like Seed, like Patrice, like all that stuff. And if we are able to mix it together, then we got a new groove. But in Italy, it's like, we're really happy to have festivals like this, of course, and like others. Like there are smaller festivals all around the place, and in the south of Italy, there's a really big scene in Salento, where like bands, they sing in Patois, that is a particular dialect from the south. And so it's like, in Italy, the scene is divided into the north and the south. And like, we are sharing all this atmosphere and reggae stuff, but we really got it from Jamaica, and it's coming from a long time ago. Now there's people like Alborosi, who just came back to show us how it's meant to be, and we're really happy about that. But it's not really, I don't have a big vision of this reggae in Italy, because we see that all these artists are bringing us different visions of reggae. So we hope that we as younger generation can mix it up and make a new sound. That's what we like. We like black music and reggae as well, but we want to mix it up and create something new, because that's what we need, something new.
So any questions? Ellen, some closing words?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to everybody again. Okay, with the hail, it's getting really loud and we all hear this, but hopefully by the band starts on stage, it will be over and we can all enjoy the music tonight together. And I also want to announce, because tomorrow we have another very special guest at the Reggae University, which is one of the writers who actually influenced me to write on reggae music when I read his articles in Black Echoes. He's like a writer for so many years in the field of reggae music, dancehall, and a guy I really look up to. It's John Missouri, and he recently published a book, a very, very influential and important book. It is The Wailing Blues, the story of Bob Marley's Wailers. And it is a collaboration with family men and other surviving members of the Wailers, and it reveals the truth behind the Marley legacy. And tomorrow we will also hear some unreleased Wailers tracks, and so I hope you all to see it tomorrow's session. Thanks a lot. And the session starts, before I forget, at 5 tomorrow. Okay, thanks a lot.